Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Ready to jump into another fascinating topic today?
Always.
Today, it's all about those real-time recommendation systems,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
The ones that,
the kind that just seem to know what you want before you even do.
right, like they're reading your mind or something.
Exactly. And to help us unpack this whole thing, we're going to be looking at an academic paper all about Monolith.
Oh, cool.
It's a system built by ByteDance.
Like dance.
Yeah, the company behind TikTok.
Oh,
So if you've ever spent like
hours.
way too long on TikTok, just scrolling and scrolling,
Yeah.
this deep dive is for you.
I mean, everyone's been there, right?
Totally.
But yeah, this monolith system, it's really interesting.
Yes.
It's all about figuring out how to use these huge amounts of data
Oh, yeah.
to make those eerily good recommendations.
So what makes these real-time recommendations different from, say, getting movie suggestions on Netflix?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just the sheer speed and scale of it all.
Yeah.
We're talking about billions of users all interacting with the platform every second,
Oh, wow.
And that creates this just massive flood of data.
Yeah.
And it's changing constantly.
So, like, if I was trying to figure out what my friend wants for their birthday,
Right.
but their tastes change every few minutes.
Exactly. It's like that, but on a massive scale.
It sounds...
And the paper actually
Yeah.
points out a couple of major challenges that come with that.
Okay, what are those?
So, first of all, the data itself is really tricky.
Oh, how so?
It's not like nice, neat numbers you can just plug into a formula.
Right.
It's more like you're dealing with categories and labels. Think things like user IDs, video categories, trending topics.
Yeah.
All that stuff is always evolving.
Right.
New users are joining, new videos are being uploaded, new trends are popping up all the time.
That does sound like a nightmare to keep up with.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that actually leads to the second big challenge, what they call concept drift.
Concept drift.
Yeah, it's the idea that people's tastes change quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So the data that you might have used to train your model yesterday
Right.
might be totally outdated today.
So it's like a moving target almost.
Exactly. You're always trying to catch up.
So how does this monolith system even begin to tackle all of that?
Well, they've come up with some pretty ingenious solutions.
Like,
Okay, so first you have to think about how they're storing and managing all that tricky data.
right.
They essentially need to create a sort of profile or summary for each user and each video.
Kind of like a digital fingerprint for each one.
Exactly. And those profiles, what they call embeddings,
Embeddings.
yeah, those have to be stored somewhere, right?
Of course.
And traditional systems, they can get really bogged down when these profiles get huge.
Oh, I see.
Sometimes even mixing up different users or videos.
Wait, so my profile could get mixed up with someone else's?
Yeah, that's the problem with some of those older systems.
Huh.
But Monolith, they've solved that.
Oh, wow.
They developed this really clever way to guarantee that each user and each video has its own unique space,
Oh, okay.
no matter how much the data grows.
So it's never going to get overcrowded.
Exactly. It's like having a filing cabinet that magically creates new drawers whenever you need them.
That's amazing. But even with like perfect organization, how do they keep up with those constantly changing tastes we talked about?
Well, that's where their second big innovation comes in.
What's that?
They call it online training.
Online training.
Yeah, instead of training the model in big chunks,
Mhm.
Monolith is constantly learning and adapting in real time.
So it's like always adjusting on the fly.
Exactly. Think of it like a chef who's constantly tweaking a recipe based on how people are reacting to each bite.
I like that analogy.
Right. So every click, every share,
Yeah.
all of that is feeding back into the system and making it smarter.
So it's like this constant feedback loop.
Exactly, between user behavior and the model's predictions.
And what's really fascinating is that the system is incredibly resilient.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Even if some of those updates get lost,
Right.
the model still performs well.
It's designed to handle that chaos of real-time data.
Okay, so Monolith has figured out how to keep up with this massive, ever-changing flow of information.
It has.
But what does that actually mean for us, the users?
That's a great question.
Yeah, what does it mean for us?
Well, it means that the recommendations you see are tailored to what you're doing right now,
Oh, okay.
not what you liked yesterday or a week ago.
So it's like the system has this sixth sense for what I'm in the mood for at any given moment.
In a way, yeah. And that can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah, especially for something like TikTok.
Exactly. Where the goal is to keep you engaged and entertained.
I can definitely see the appeal of that.
Right. Takes all the guesswork out of finding something to watch.
But isn't there a risk of getting stuck in a rut?
Oh, yeah. definitely. Like,
That's a big one.
if the system only shows me things that it thinks I'll like,
Right.
will I ever discover anything new?
That's a valid concern.
It's actually something that developers of these systems are constantly grappling with.
Mm.
How do you balance that personalization with discovery?
Yeah, it seems like a tough needle to thread.
It is.
Because on the one hand, you want those recommendations to be relevant to
Yeah.
your interests.
You want it to be good.
But on the other hand, you don't want to miss out on something amazing just
Right.
because it's outside your usual bubble.
Exactly.
Mm.
And, it's not just about the algorithms themselves either.
Oh, really?
It's also about how they're used.
What do you mean?
Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
Monolith is designed to be incredibly adaptable and efficient. Right?
Right.
It can learn from user behavior in real time
Yeah.
and make these incredibly accurate predictions.
Mm-hmm.
But what those predictions are actually used for
Yeah.
depends on the goals of the platform that's using it.
So it's like a powerful tool that can be used for good
Exactly.
or for maybe not so good.
Right.
Depending on.
Yeah, it depends who's got their hands on the wheel.
That makes sense.
So, for example,
Yeah.
a platform could use Monolith to simply maximize engagement.
Okay.
Just showing you whatever OP
Yeah.
will keep you clicking and scrolling,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the quality or diversity of the content.
Yeah, just keep you hooked.
Exactly. Or they could use it to promote a more balanced and enriching experience,
Okay.
exposing you to new ideas and perspectives,
Mm-hmm.
even if it means you might not click on every single recommendation.
So it really comes down to the intention behind it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to be having these conversations
Yeah.
about the ethical implications of these systems.
Right.
We need to be aware of the potential risks and benefits
Yeah.
and to hold these platforms accountable.
Accountable for how they're using the tech.
Exactly.
It all boils down to responsibility, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like the developers who are creating these systems,
Mhm.
the platforms that are using them, and us, the users.
Right. We all play a part.
We all have a role to play in shaping how these technologies impact our lives.
I couldn't agree more.
So we've uncovered the inner workings of Monolith,
We have.
explored the broader implications of real-time recommendation systems.
Definitely a lot to think about.
What are some key takeaways you'd like our listeners to walk away with today?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think the first takeaway is just how powerful these systems are. Monolith's ability to learn and adapt in real time
Yeah.
is truly remarkable.
That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is.
Algorithms that can anticipate our needs and desires,
Right.
sometimes even before we're fully aware of them ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that leads to the second takeaway, which is the importance of awareness.
Awareness.
As users, we need to be aware of how these systems work,
Yeah.
what data they're collecting, and how they're shaping our online experiences.
It's like anything else, right? The more we understand how something works,
Exactly.
the better equipped we are to use it wisely and make informed choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the third takeaway, which is the need for critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
Now, don't just passively accept the recommendations you're given.
Okay.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Explore different perspectives. Challenge the algorithm.
To be an active participant rather
Yeah.
than just a passive consumer.
Exactly. And finally, I think it's crucial to remember that these systems are ultimately tools. They can be used for good or for ill, depending on the intentions of those who wield them.
So it all comes back to responsibility.
It really does.
The responsibility of developers to build ethical and transparent systems.
Yeah.
The responsibility of platforms to use these systems in a way that benefits their users. And the responsibility of users to be informed and engaged.
Well said. It's a shared responsibility that we all need to take seriously.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive, I gotta say.
It has been.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of real-time recommendation systems.
It's been a pleasure.
And for our listeners, if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we encourage you to explore the full research paper on Monolith.
Yeah, check it out.
We've included a link in the show notes.
There's a whole universe of information out there just waiting to be discovered.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.